the same problem as Sam. I don't really have what you call the green thumb, so I've even managed to kill off plants that only need water. They're not even in soil, and well, yeah. Either way, though, I don't think we're here to. Yeah, I mean, even those I've killed, Tom. You don't know about my brown thumb. I have the opposite of a green thumb. What about you, though? Like, how's your history with plants?
You did good.
I have a girlfriend, and she's good at looking after them sometimes.
Lucky you. Well, at least somebody's able to take care of the plants here. So far in the game, though, we do see an early kill coming through. Toki shutting down Rescue as they try to go in for a bit of an aggressive AP here. Unfortunately, not going to be finding much off the back of it aside from a very quick death. And can immediately see the Falcons. They're going to be able to go a little bit more on that A site. We'll be able to pressure through with the Gecko. The flash not going to quite catch anybody. That recon does, though. Huge information. And while the spam off the back of it doesn't quite connect, a lot of space is going to be able to get taken by the Falcons roster towards the site. That said, though, with the utility being dumped and the time that it's taken, it's going to be better for them to possibly rotate over, and that's the call here.
Yeah, I think they managed to pull pretty much everybody off of the site. Vania now going on the rotation back, and a little bit of damage has been done onto Sandra, and well, could have been a little bit more. Looked like a real opportunity to find that kill back. Instead, though, with the Viper screen going up, a decent opportunity to get into that after plant, and madv already picking off another as well.
Yeah, Spike gonna be planted, madv backing away with the kill, and now it's this 5v3 post plan that we're looking at. G2, of course, they do have a Sheriff on Petra, as well as this Recon Bolt. Unfortunately, the Recon not gonna be able to spot anything, and again, with these numbers, it's just gonna be that contact play coming through here for Falcons. That another Recon finds the kill, helps Toki find the killer onto Amy, and while the Poison Orb does hide the possible diffuse coming through, instead Falcons, with the numbers advantage, are gonna just be able to clean house, and under Lucia, flawless to start off Icebox. And I know we had our doubts heading into this map, how exactly it was going to play out, and I know we're very early into it, but that was a very nice round coming out of Falcons.
Yeah, no, a fantastic start for them. I'm still definitely interested to see what's going to be able to be done with this composition from G2, because I know that there's some Brimmy deniers, but if Chronicle plays an agent on a map, I'm in. That's all I'm going to say. He has played Brimstone on this map before. Sure, different composition with the old school mech guys, but there's a lot of cool one-ways you can do with it. A lot of quicker rotations from the Stimmy. And Sam also forgot to mention there's a Molotov. There's another piece of utility that could be used to sort of clear some of these angles. I think that's one of the important things with the compositions actually being run by G2 is just having so much utility to be able to put into these corners, especially on the attack. For now, though, this is just a shooting gallery. You're not going to expect to see much out of the side
of G2 anyway.
G2, but that is very clean.
Yeah, just Ludge watching for the flank, gets rewarded with a triple and a second Andalusia flawless here for the side of Falcons. That's going to make their economy very, very happy. And also their ult economy is good, especially if you have your Viper farming up these kills and those possible ult orbs. That said, though, you know, to add on to your point about the Brimstone there, Tom, if you think about it, that means that 4 out of the 5 agents on this G2 lineup are post-plant agents. So, you know, if you get that spike down and you have the utility still into play, it's going to be very difficult for Falcons to even touch that spike, let alone defuse it.
Yeah, I think even just raw execution power is also very, very good for them here. Early space being taken, the flash combination alongside the dart is going to clear out a lot of early angles that could be problematic.
Dizzy, unfortunately, at least initially, not finding too much, although it does serve to at least push Vania a little bit further back. There is still that toxic screen, though, that G2 is looking a bit worried about. You can see the pings coming through from the Falcons side on side, and they have it right so far. 3 players from G2 willing to take the peak if, in fact, Falcons commit towards this, but instead, it's just going to be the drone from Petra going for a little bit more of that information. Does detect a couple of players, and Falcons, despite that, seem quite unwilling to go to back here. Perhaps knowing that this is that bonus round here for them, it's a little bit of consolation. If they can get a couple of kills here, it's going to be good enough, let alone a spike plant. And G2, they haven't moved a muscle. Look at their positioning. They're still playing that 2A, 3B kind of split, especially with that Killjoy utility locking down mid. Recon Bolt gonna reveal Vania's position, but that counter from Petra, it shows exactly where these players are. Off the back of it, Vania already able to find a kill here. You can see the lurk as well kicking in right now towards his tube. Sandra finds Amy, and that's gonna shut down this Killjoy utility. Suddenly, mid looking so much more vulnerable, and as G2 get distracted, EMEA takes full advantage of the pandemonium to be able to find a kill. Vania, though, still playing Anchor, still playing Spoil Sport here. The timing on the wraparound here, it could be perfect. Thankfully, the dash takes care of that. And with 10 seconds left, Vania is just denying anything from happening on the site. Of course, madv, the last one left alive, and Vania says, none of that here. This is my site. You're not even going to be allowed to get that spike down. And she confirms the round with an ace.
We might need to get the stats from Vania's average, or ACS, average combat score, beginning of the day, and average combat score at the end of the day, because she has been straight farming in this match so far. Fantastic in map number 1, and the thing is, in this round, I think Falcons did excellently. I'm really liking how they're combining their Sophie util. It's just the split was a little bit slow. The players through mid were disjointed, and it looked like there was going to be a really good timing to catch out the players in the back. Instead, Vania was able to get aggressive, and because of that, things didn't really go to plan. Now, luckily, that was a bonus. So they could have won the bonus. Now they actually have a purchase, and it looks like they're looking to put Vania under pressure once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's Vania. That's probably where she thrives the best. So even though Vania is alone, temporarily at least on that B site, you know, G2, they've been very quick over the rotations on this map so far. So I feel like that could be a factor. I also like this little bit of a nanoswarm that you see pre-placed on that B site just to deny the value from that Gecko's wingman trying to get that plant really, because on that B site, we all know how pesky it is, even with the changes to come in, to be able to just get that spike down without that sage wall. So, of course, just a little bit of extra problems caused for the Gecko and the wingman there. That said, though, again, it's just a recon for recon. Thrash gonna be coming through here, clears out the site completely. You can see that G2, they were playing a little bit back because of that ultimate, and now madv already having used it. You can see them re-encroaching and trying to defend this area, and there's the power of the smoke kicking in. Just so much visual denial here for this G2 side. Wingman able to deny the plant, but off the back of it, the swing from madv and Eva, they find a triple apiece. Amy, though, still looking to be a menace, looking to be a problem, 2v3, as that spike finally does go down, and Amy, you can see her getting a little bit ahead of herself here. Timing on the peak, gonna be everything. Spots out the position, though, of Eva, gets the kill, and now it's a 2v2. Oh, Vania has come back on Rafters, regroup with the teammate, and Falcons, they're playing a little bit further back. They do have that spike down. Sandra goes in for a peek, gets a little bit of info, spots out Vania's position, knows that Amy's also inside, so at least for now, the flank, they know for a fact that there's no flank coming, but they don't need a flank. Amy just on site, being an absolute menace, and madv, she got the opening couple of kills, but now in this 1v2, Vania already able to stick half the defuse, the Dizzy, the Mosh not quite connecting, and while there is an attempt at isolating the fight here, it will still be Vania just able to stick the spike through, even as madv gets the kill. What a masterful round from G2. I feel so bad there for madv, but what was that?
I feel like there's some pretty decent execute power coming out for the side of Falcons. Like, I enjoyed the fact that, again, they're combining the Dizzy with a lot of other utility to go through those smokes. The problem is, well, in this case, it just looked like they lost the firefights. Like, Amy able to just do Amy things and sneak her way through onto the site. And I think the crossfires from Falcons just a little bit shaky in this round. The thing is, though, they're coming in with 3 rifles, and G2 definitely have some gaps. I am scared, though, because rezq now has an operator, and, well, as you can see, there's a Viper's Pit.
Yeah, early Viper's Pit coming through from Vania, and it's gonna just cover up so much space. It's such an aggressive Viper's Pit as well. If you look at how much it covers here, even including that scale up towards Nest, so Vania could definitely have an angle towards that. That said, though, the nice thing about the Viper's Pit is that more often than not, especially towards these higher level teams, you do see that because of that Viper's Pit, it does give them a little bit more space to scale up on the other side. Petra, of course, waiting with the recon on any hints of noise or timing to just be able to take care of that. Vania, if that does connect, Vania could find a couple of kills here through the smoke, but instead, though, it's just going to be Petra and Vania holding on. Vania finally giving up that elevated angle, but still the utility here is just going to be traded for both of these sides. And in the meantime, it's like there's no other map control available for Falcons. You can see the amount of space that Mimi has taken up towards B.
Going for Legolas-style darts. The flank back now would just be... It seems way too late. 30 seconds left on the clock to try and go for a wraparound. I guess they were really expecting to get something here. I don't know what the plan is. A split through mid is one of the only potential gaps, but I already think there's been a rotation. Amy is going to hear the footsteps. Timing here could be everything. If she catches the spike player, that could be a bigger problem, but they've managed to bypass it. Also a spot from Petra. They've got past that as well. They may get it off the plant, but Mimi She's caught the player. Is the time even going to be enough for them to retrieve it? I think they may just about have it. It's going to be incredibly close on that plant, and just about goes down. They're given an opportunity here.
Yeah, 2v2, but look at the HP of these players on Falcons. Both of them only a bullet or two away from their demise. madv, though, does have that Thrash available for the post plan, and it could be a pivotal ult here. That said, though, the positioning for madv, it's going to be everything here, and Toki, at that distance, is able to get the fight onto EMEA. I like the play from Falcons there. They expected that lockdown, and you could see that madv was in prime position to be able to catch the rotation, if any, from mid and capitalize to find that kill. They didn't even need to use the Thrash at the end of it, and of course, off the back of that G2, their economy, it's going to be defunct, and Falcons, looking at their ultimates, they have they don't even need it with the guns that they have, but it's not only going to be that attack operator, but also the snowball ult round that we could see coming online here.
I'll show her who's a real
The bigger
genius
problem,
is.
G2's economy is in the mud, so this is now a great opportunity for Falcons to really start building up into this side. Obviously, the last couple of rounds have been relatively close. G2 aren't just going to sit back and wait patiently for their opponents to come to them. Going for an aggressive push early. It's already been spotted, but Sandra definitely has to be careful.
Early space, yes, it's been taken, but madv instead able to shut down rescue. That's at least the first kill. Classic, the Sheriff going to be retrieved here. Vania falls back, but that said, right, again, the information comes through for Falcons. They know that there's at least a double or triple push coming in from A, so they pivot towards B instead, which has been kind of left on a retake setup. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of denial for the plants coming in from Wingman, thanks to those nanoswarms here, but it's finally going to be able to go down. No real way for G2 to break it either. G2 on this retake, they're going to be struggling with the weapons that they have. 3v5 now. Of course, if they could get a couple of these ults online, it's going to be helpful, especially for the side of Mimi here, since she's only one off of that orbital strike. But that said, again, look at this post plant, right? Falcons, they really aren't leaving any gaps for G2 to try and exploit. There's no flank really coming in either. The spike gets tapped here. The swing off the back of that, it's going to be Vania to find one with the Sheriff, a trade as Falcons find EMEA there. But again, with the weapon advantage, Eva is able to just clean up the two remaining G2 players, and Falcons, they find a pretty clean round, only losing one player in the process, and they hold on to all of these ultimates.
Not really a round where you expected too much damage to be done, and now Gozen themselves are gonna take a pause, obviously going into the bye round. Still though, I feel like, at least with how some of those initial rounds gone, I can feel fairly happy on the Falcons side, the economic position that they found themselves in. As you said, like having that many ults either online or close, it's definitely going to make things a little bit more interesting. Now, I am actually excited to see the orbital strike. I think it's one of those ultimates that, especially in terms of plant denial going into this round, could be a huge factor. And as we've said, like, neither of these teams do have something like a Harbor or a Sage if they want to have a more concrete way to get themselves into the site. My main worry is that, considering G2 are going into a bye here, they've got to be really careful. Like, Thrash is going to be able to like take space into the sites for them. The Hunter's Fury might be able to isolate an opening pick. And more importantly, they've just got to watch out for madv, who's currently 11-2 and just farming everyone on the other side.
Yeah, nice solid 5.5 KDA, and it's been, what, 6 rounds? We already have the second Thrash online. Like, that's a testament to how much farming madv's been doing, not just off the kills here, but also the outorbs, especially with the plants. It's one of the reasons I love playing Gecko, because especially since you're planting that spike with the Wingman, it's so easy to get your ult up. And the fact is, you know, if you use Thrash and you get a couple of kills off the back of that, those also count for recharging your ult. So I feel like the Gecko ult is just one of those that you can quite easily get offline, and it's just really, really great value for ult orb. I was gonna say value for money, but I realized you can't really buy ults. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. G2 this time around looking to get a bit aggressive towards this A site. Rescue on this upper angle. Hasn't really spotted out anybody from Falcons, as nobody has ascended towards that nest angle quite yet. A little bit more of a slower play from that Falcons side. I mean, they've been slow throughout this half, but usually you see them kind of converging towards one side of the map. They're more split up this time, and I'm going to be wondering how they're going to be using these ults to really capitalize already. Oh my god, you see the Thrash come through with the orbital strike. It almost catches madv. Instead, though, it's going to be Toki towards mid to rip apart EMEA, and with that killjoy going down, this mid suddenly looks so much more vulnerable. Mimi at least shuts her down, but Toki's still there for the refrag. madv takes down rescue as well, and suddenly this A side, it's completely open.
Mimi. Oh, she's not going to get that kill. Toki waiting patiently for any sort of drop down, and Well, for Vania, it almost comes down to just trying to hold on to a weapon. Can she stop herself from being isolated? It does seem, at least at the moment, that other than a couple of individual plays, G2 are sort of struggling to hold back what has been a fairly intense attack side out from Falcons. As I said, I think the combinations they've been using off their utility have made things very awkward for the G2 side to fight. And for Vania, one of the rounds that they do have was her managing to get an ace. So unless she's somehow going to pull this one off in the next few seconds, I think this is going to be a 5-2 start now for Falcons.
It should be that. Maybe another kill for Vania if she can find Toki here. Unfortunately, Toki going to be able to get away with her life and her weapon. So, like you said, 5-2. Falcons kind of in the lead here. And off the back of that timeout, G2 surprisingly haven't adapted too much. You still see the kind of same split coming through here, same kind of plays from them. And I feel like you mentioned, Falcons, right? They're taking their time. They're smoking out what exactly these players from G2 are playing and going in for these very quick, very aggressive executes off of it. I also like that in that last round, you saw how aggressive Toki got towards mid. She was able to find a huge opening onto EMEA there. And again, just that 1-2 crunch towards any of these sites, whether it's towards mid, towards B, or just A through mid. It's just been Falcons being very aggressive. And G2, they're kind of caught off guard, especially since how quiet these early rounds have been here. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, Vania trying something maybe a little bit cheeky. I don't know if she wanted the orb. I don't think so. I think it was more just trying to garner some extra space. Obviously, having that one rifle. I wouldn't be surprised if that was juggled into somebody else's hands. And yeah, I believe that Mimi's now going to be playing with that for the remainder of the round. But again, Falcons just taking things nice and slow. They know that there's going to be an attempted piece of aggression. And well, it's almost like the push and pull of the map. As G2 go one way, Falcons go the other. And that B site now looking clear, although the sound cues should have been there. The Dizzy will have given it away.
You should run.
Yeah, so you can immediately see G2 kind of rotating over. Mimi, of course, still looking to play that anchor, but this lockdown, it will confirm the space. Falcons not really risking it. I like how they've been cycling these ults around. Like you saw the Thrash coming through in that previous round, and they kept the lockdown for this one. So it's going to be something else. Of course, Ludge going to be a turret, human turret towards spawn, just left to watch down flank. The spray, unfortunately, not going to be able to take down Wingman. And once again, it's Falcons to set themselves in that post plant. And we talked about how the Sova, Killjoy, Viper core for this map can be really strong in that post plan. They're talking about how G2 has an additional agent in that aspect, but you also do have to notice that so does Falcons. You do see that rezq is at least able to find a kill, although Toki with the gun at least able to get that refrag 2v3 situation. G2 at least finding a little bit of damage, hoping to perhaps bait that Hunter's Fury out of the way here. But when you have so much of these mollies available, it could be huge. rezq though on track for the ace here. It's gonna be take down to a little bit of HP. Does spot out this final player, almost gets the kill,
lucky.
but unfortunately Eva will be able to clutch it out. It came a little bit close there on time, but at least G2 in that eco round are able to find the damage.
That would have been insane if they had 2 rounds based off of aces. I
know.
I don't think that happens too often, but yeah, a nice attempt. I will say the damage at this stage, it's almost a little bit irrelevant. Like the amount of cash that Falcons have been able to build up over the last few rounds, unless there's actually a victory coming through soon for G2, it's not really going to have the impact that they would desire. And yeah, as said, like they're not really having to use too much in these rounds to actually get them over the line. Their post-plant setups, their after-plant utility has been great. And in this round, well, it almost looks like they might be attempting to pick up the pace a little bit here. The thing is, though, it's almost just like Toki is trying to just cause a distraction as the rest of the team build up in towards A.
Oh no, Operator finally going to be online for rezq. Unfortunately, doesn't quite connect the shot. That said, though, this Hunter's Fury and this Crunch from Amy each going to find a kill here. Suddenly, Falcons, they've been whittled down to 3 players. I think that Toki being shut down towards mid does let G2 concentrate a little bit more resources towards this A side. Once again, rezq not able to get the shot, and that will clear up a little bit of space here for Falcons to be able to at least get this fight down. That said, though, G2, they're quick to jump back onto site here. Mimi already having put down the smoke and also looking to find some value on the plants. It's been denied to boot, so Falcons now, we've seen how efficient they are at playing this post plant from behind, but if that spike doesn't go down, this is the problem. Not only do you have to go back onto site, you have to go back onto site with the numbers disadvantage here, and G2, they are so ready for this. Look at the number of players here. Again, the double peak, it's gonna, Vania is able to find a kill, Sandra does go down, and this crossfire is gonna be so difficult to break. Just gonna be 1 player left alive. At least Eva is able to find one, but G2, they bounce back in this round and they take it in their pocket.
Yeah, I think a high impact ult coming out from Petra definitely helped them out a little bit. And I think this has to be the start of something for G2 rather than just a blip on the radar for their opposition. But again, similarly to the last map, it does just seem like once the advantages fall into the hands of G2, it is very difficult for Falcons to get back out of them again. The fundamentals of G2 is off the charts. As said though, still plenty of ults to play with, no problems in terms of finances. And again, we're going to see some of this early utility just being expended. I really like the way that they're able to take this B main control. I think a lot of teams really struggle to sort of force their opponents off these angles, but well, so far, Falcons have done a great job.
I mean, this is the first run that we're also seeing G2 kind of playing a little bit more aggressively towards that B main. Usually they're kind of willing to give that side up, go in for a little bit more of a retake setup. That said though, rezq in a very, very difficult spot.
Okay.
At least it would be if Sandra, hadn't gone down like that. A beautiful shot and a quick flick from rezq to keep them alive and get them the advantage. That's Sandra shut down, so no more real lurk potential. Ludge, of course, has been hanging around that spawn for a while, but with them losing Sandra like that, it might just be a better idea to regroup and try to push the side in numbers. Just talking about numbers, though, look at how many G2 players are on this B side. In fact, 2 of them towards yellow. I don't think that Dizzy is going to be able to really catch them here. And while Toki does take a little bit of space, yellow still hasn't gone checked, and it's just going to be Vania anchoring down here. Kill already for her, looking to find a little bit more damage. Ludge, though, in this Viper's Pit, finds the kill. Vania just playing ring around the rosy around this yellow box right now, trying to isolate these fights, find these kills.
Pathing is
timing,
so good.
Yeah, timing could be everything here, and Ludge just catches it onto Vania. Finally, a little bit of space for that spike to go down, and a 2v2 retake is what we're looking at here with the clock ticking. Blade Storm online for rezq. We'll at least be able to use that a little better on the ult. And for EMEA, no lockdown, but I think contact has to be the way. Thrash being available, though, makes things a little bit more difficult. madv at least just looking to play around her teammate. Does catch EMEA off guard. rezq with the Blade Storm, though, shuts down the Viper's Pit, and it's just going to be this 1v1 at the end of it. rezq with the Blade Storm. madv, though, she's been having a game, and she continues. A triple for her to anchor the round here, and 7 for Falcons.
No, she's been fantastic throughout. Currently 15-4, but also, as said, I've been impressed with her utility usage. I honestly thought that G2 had this one. The initial sort of bait and switch of having 2 players over towards yellow was definitely a surprise, and Vania seemed to just have things almost locked down with how good she was playing around that position, but eventually gets isolated. And then madv, well, just pretty much does the rest. 7-3, a really solid attack side. And again, G2 are unable to build up any level of finances, so they're just going to have to go into this ones with the pistols again.
Yeah, it's not something that you usually see G2 have to struggle with, the constant, painful economic cycles. But this time around, at least, Falcons, they're really putting them through their paces. We were worried about their competencies at this map, and so far it seems like we really don't need to worry about it, because Falcons, they're on a roll here, already being able to find 2 huge picks onto A side and get that spike down. We're finally going to be seeing a little bit of a flank here to come through from G2 side. Vania with the Sheriff looking for a little bit of damage, but I think with that side control being so firmly in favor of Falcons, and of course Sandra aware of the possibility of this lurk due to the lack of that turret, having tucked themselves away in a corner, it's going to be very difficult for Vania to really find anything. Yep, does go down, and these last 2 players for G2, they're all the way on side. Again, though, it's that oppressive post plant that we were talking about, the molly and the double peek to come through. It's going to get Falcons to 8 here, and this is probably the most dominant half we've seen coming out of them in their games against G2, with the exception of that sunset half.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I'm not sure about that one. They trounced them at least once, but yeah, this has definitely been very, very clean. And a lot of what we've seen on the other side does just look like blips. And Andaluthia flawless to get them through that round. The finances bolstered back up, and we are going to see an investment here. A glass cannon operator coming out for rezq. Clearly feeling that that can bring her the impact that they need. But again, they've got that Thrash back online, Hunter's Fury available, and okay, a Viper's pick gone down, but we've already seen that Falcons can do a good job to play around this.
Yeah, I think the only mistake they made the last time this Viper's Pit was up was wasting a lot of time just chilling around this A site. I hope that if they do decide to pivot, they decide to pivot a little bit earlier here. That said, though, they knew that Petra likes to play this angle, the high-low setup coming in, and it's just going to be the kill to come through for Toki. EMEA at least able to find a refrag. Vania, though, still looking to play Anchor and Spoil Sport on this map. The Orbital Strike to clear out a little bit more space. And finally, you see Thrash getting invested to try and clear out this Viper Spit. I don't think it's really going to be able to detain Vania, though. So off the back of that, you're going to be seeing a little bit of a fallback here from Falcons.
Yeah, I think they tried to throw it in with the combination of Toki getting aggressive, but I think it was good work from Amy to sort of hold down the fort and supportive ultimates from Mimi as well. Now with the rotation coming back through mid, though, they're going to bypass the main danger of the pit. And it was being watched initially by Mimi, but now that control has been bypassed, Amy's going to have a lot to do once again.
Does have the lockdown, but that said, it's a split coming in through mid here. Look at this plant. It's going to be all the way in the corner of sight. The defender lockdown, of course, got to be popped from main, so it's going to be very difficult to play that post plant, although Eva does have that Hunter's Fury to try and break it. That's going to be the call here. Does take care of that lockdown at the very least, and this retake, it's going to be a little bit difficult. That Viper Spit still under maintenance, but now Vania has to worry about that 1-2 push again coming in from behind, and of course, madv is just being an absolute beast already with a couple of kills. Finally does get shut down, but it's going to all fall down to Vania. She was able to ace clutch it the previous time around. Does have this Viper Spit to kind of swing around for, but it's not going to help much in this 1v2 with where that spike is planted. Doesn't quite expect the player from CT, and Eva taking full advantage takes down her old comrade here. 9-3, and Falcons, they have a dominating half so far on this defensive side.
Yeah, again, another fantastic round from madv. This has been one of the best performances I think we've seen in the entirety of the tournament, and she has been a fantastic player over the last couple of seasons of Game Changers, but this sort of level seems to be above everything else that we've seen. For G2, well, as said, they've got a lot of utility that they can use to sort of get themselves into sight on this attacking side, but I almost feel like it'll be just too little too late. You expect that Falcons will at least be able to win a couple in the retake. I've really enjoyed their Gecko so far in terms of how they've been using it to take space, and I imagine it'll be the same with their reclaiming of it as well.
I think in that previous half, madv had like about 4 or 5 get gold, so yeah, so it definitely a lot of efficiency to be coming out of Thrash and the rest of the Gecko utility. I think it's going to be just as good on the defensive side, especially with Wingman kind of giving you a 6 player to try and defuse that spike while everybody else goes ahead for the fight here, especially in those kind of 1v1 situations. That said, though, G2, they're just going to play contact and walk all the way up towards side. Ludge, despite that toxic screen debuff, not able to get the kill onto Vania, and Sandra, of course, left alone on site, will go down to boot. So G2, they have the whole side for themselves. That said, though, there's going to be a quick flank coming in, and G2, they seem to expect it because look at where the spike is going down. Amy watching for that flank does take down madv, so it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade 2v4 situation right now. Rescue does look quite low, but again, G2, they have a lot of space towards that backside. A dink as well coming in from Vania. Insult to injury here as Eva is brought down to 2 HP. How much more can Falcons really do in this retake attempt? Because G2, they have so much control here towards CT as well as that backside. Toki at least able to try and isolate a fight, does get immediately traded out though, and now it's just Eva here. 1v3 situation. This was a must-win pistol for G2 here, and Eva's just like, you know what, guys? I'm just gonna look for exits. There's not much more I can do.
Not wanting to give any of those extra orbs over, I'd imagine, and the rest of the players on G2 just going to try and get out of there. They've at least got themselves the lifeline. Ava, as said, will go down to the spike, but not really too much of an issue for her here, and still a very long road back for G2 if they're going to be able to do too much in this matchup. Expectations for this round, though, I don't really expect to see much of a buy at all from Falcons. Just play this one relatively chill, gamble stack on one of the sides of the map. If not, die to the spike. And for G2, it's going to be all about trying to get as many orbs onto the players who've kind of already got some. So you're probably going to be looking at Amy and Vania, which, for the most part, normally pretty safe bets.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best ults that you can have online, that lockdown, especially with how much utility is available in the arsenal of these Falcons player. That said, though, we're going to be seeing another of these gamble stacks coming in. This time, though, Falcons, they seem to have at least picked right here. Mimi, gotta be just looking to walk and play. Contact into sight, does catch out and isolate the fight onto Toki. And Falcons, unfortunately, not gonna be able to trade out here. I feel like G2, they're gonna have an inkling off the back of that there's possibly a gamble stack here. Rescue taking quite a bit of damage, and looking at the investment into this round, 3 rifles, as well as a Bulldog and a Spectre, it's gonna be important for G2 to try and make this round as flawless as possible. You see them pivoting over towards that A side instead, but Falcons, look at their rotation as well. They're getting closer and closer.
At least right place, right time. Unfortunately, the weaponry is probably not going to allow for too much. Space already taken from Petra. Maybe a chance to pad the stats. Flash. Not going to work out either. While for rezq and Amy, it's going to spread the orbs across the entirety of the team. Probably not exactly what you want if you're G2, because you're not going to have any of the ults online, and this is where things will probably get a little bit more difficult after that Andalusia flawless.
Andalusia flawless, and I said it, G2 were going to have to do everything they could to keep these weapons, and they do exactly that. They're going to be carrying all of this into the next round, so this bonus doesn't really look like a bonus with 3 rifles on it. It's looking like a full buy versus full buy, more or less, for both of these teams. Right now, though, ultimate economy-wise at least, I feel like Mimi is halfway to that orbital strike. That could be an ult that they could prioritize getting online. Instead, though, it's going to be the very quick push through on towards this B site. You can see that Falcons, they're playing very far back, opting to kind of go in for a retake setup. And, of course, this lurk from Amy is going to find incredible value right off the bat as Toki gets just a little bit too aggressive for her own good. Nanoswarms, if any, on site are going to be broken by these shock darts. And with this Viper smoke going down and the Vania's toxins replenishing here, we might see the execute imminent on this B site. Falcons, though, they haven't brought too many players over yet.
They used the snake bite combination with the orb just to deny any chance for a plant, and there's still another for Lush to play with, so she'll be able to buy a little bit of extra time. They also have a Mosh available. I'm sure that madv will have some sort of crazy lineup, and with both nanos still in the hands of Sandra, they actually still have a lot of utility available to deny. It's just whether or not G2 are going to try and be a bit more proactive and plant somewhere else.
They are able to take up a little bit more space here. That said, though, the recon bullets, yeah, it's going to reveal a lot. And G2, they realize they don't really fancy their chances too much with them having burned so much time here. The rotation is a good call because this A site is going to be left completely open here for that site take. And that's the advantage of having the double controller. Sure, you don't have your Viper wall, but you do have your Brimmy smokes. And Mimi going to be very happy to be able to get that spike down with 10 seconds left to the clock and possibly set up for that post plant. And of course, with you having these Spectres in hand, it might be a little bit better for you to just play onto site, run and gun whoever tries to cross your way, and even play around the smoke if necessary. There is a little bit of utility available on this retake here. I think that drone is going to spot out at least one player. The Molly going to cut off players pushing towards Mimi, but that recon does catch her at the very least. So that's going to be one player caught off and flashed into oblivion. Mimi still, though, gets the kills. And again, G2, their post plant just looks so impossible here. No chance for Falcons to break through. They take down Amy, yes, but it's everybody else for G2 left standing. And Mimi does have that orbital strike available for this next round.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Falcons got a little bit tunnel vision. Because the thing is, if G2 had gone into the B side there, Falcons 100% win the round. They did so well to sort of hold on to a lot of their utility. They still had late snake bites, late nano swarms, I think even late shock darts and a mosh. The problem is, they didn't have anybody on the A side. Because of that initial aggression failing and Toki going down, it was an all-in gamble. And I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of surprised that they went for it. I think even just holding onto the weapons might have been the better decision, but obviously easy to say that in hindsight. For now, though, it's going to just be an orb taken, a few pistols invested. Toki looking like she's saving up for the operator as well, so that will at least bring in a different dynamic. The scary prospect, though, is if the post-plant from G2 wasn't nasty before, well, they've got an orbital strike now, which is basically just a free few seconds burnt off the clock.
Yes, as our analyst desk broke down for us, it is a very, very big ult and a very, very dangerous one, especially in the hands of this pulse plants available for G2. Like we saw the snake bites as well as the Killjoy Nanoswarms already buying a good solid half of that spike time ticking down here. And now, unfortunately for Falcons, they are on a bit of an eco round with them losing that previous full buy. So it's going to be a bit difficult for them to really find value unless, of course, G2 enable them with these head-on-head fights. I think for G2, the priority here, knowing that this is an eco, is to just take this round in their pocket pocket with the favor of these gunfights, and that's exactly what they do to find these first opening kills. The spike gonna be dropped as well, so we could see Vania or Petra trying to farm up their ults. Instead, it's gonna be Amy. Makes sense. Only one away from that lockdown now after that spike plant, and again, it's a full retake position here. No Bladestorm available, no Thrash either. Not that we would see that Thrash being used in this 3v5, unless of course there was some hope. Recon info gonna be denied to boot, so for Falcons, it's just looking very difficult to retake the site. I mean, if they can find a kill or two, that's going to be great. But look at this re-wrap around here from Petra. Takes care of Toki. And this late flank, it's going to be another piece of concern that Falcons are going to be worried about. They're just going to be watching for this push. Maybe hoping that they can die to the spike here because they just don't want to risk giving up the ult orbs for free. Amy goes down. It's okay. She's going to have the lockdown off the back of that. And there's just no way the spike diffuse is coming through. So G2, they get out.
I think just looking to try and maybe steal a weapon away. madv has collected a rifle. And there it goes. Not going to get anything extra into this next round, but they don't really need it. They have the finances to buy it. And I think this is where Falcons are definitely going to try and be that little bit more proactive. Firstly with the pause, but more so, I said, I think there's a good chance that Toki's going to be investing into that operator. We know especially around the A side of the map, having those aggressive, proactive angles that she can sort of take space away. Because that's been the major issue is if you allow G2 to have the space to go for these executions, to get themselves into the sites and the post plant, you have already lost the round. The only major flaw in this is that if they even get close to the A site, they have it because they've got a lockdown in play. So it basically comes down to Toki doing maybe not quite as aggressive as last or the round before last. That was a little bit over in my eyes, but like at least going for some of those aggressive peaks over the top, denying some of that A main control, and giving an opportunity for them to hold the site without just losing it completely to the lockdown.
Completely agree, especially considering that Falcons, they don't really have a counter for that lockdown. Hunter's Fury not going to be online. No lockdown available for Sandra either to try and reclaim that space with. So it's going to be pretty important for them to fight a bit aggressively. It's kind of interesting to see because despite them having a double initiator here, you don't really see madv or Eva, or at least Toki being enabled by madv and Eva on this defensive side so far to be able to be proactive and get those early kills. G2, of course, they've been having a couple of swell attacking rounds. So far, haven't lost one yet. So it's been a flawless run on this half for them so far. And, you know, 9-3 looked great. 9-7, not so much. So it's kind of a swing round here. Falcons having to try and win it. And if not win it, at least get these pesky ultimates out of G2's pockets. Because those two are definitely pieces of utility that they're going to have to worry about. G2 now, though, they're looking to go towards this B side precisely because of that operator's threat. And with this lockdown, they're going to be able to have a lot of space.
It still can be quite awkward for them, especially again this sort of denial available for Luge, so straight away, and they're actually going to pressure her. I like this orbital strike to leave her isolated. They use that ult proactively. They still lose Petra on the way in, but I really like the idea just to make sure they get rid of those snake bites, and they should get a post plant as well, although I think, yeah, Nanoswarm landed.
Gonna be denying it for a bit. Mimi finally free of distractions, able to get that spike down. Then a second Nanoswarm does hit, but just a little bit late. So Mimi gonna be able to back away in time, not taking too much damage. That said, the rescue inside the smoke pulls out the shorty at the perfect time. Immediately gonna be traded out by Sandra, unfortunately. And look at Vania, she's getting pinched here. Has to be able to isolate the fight, but instead it's gonna be Sandra finding yet another kill. Still quite far from the lockdown, but now G2, they only have 2 players up against 3 in this post-plant setup. I think that all the utility has been used as well. Still 1 Nanoswarm online for Amy, but that's about it. They're throwing that. It's going to give away her position. Mimi tries to go in for that spray down, and now it's just Amy in a 1v2, and Amy is all that G2 needs here. That's the Red Bull clutch for her, and another round win for G2. Just 1 round away from equalizing here, and I do not know how Falcons could have lost that, except that Amy just did Amy things.
I think especially I'm impressed with just what G2 did with their ultimates in this round, because as I said, I feel like a lot of the time you're going to expect that orbital strike to be held for post spawn. It wasn't as clean as maybe they would have liked it to be, but I love the fact that they know if that Viper is in the back corner just putting an orb up every few seconds, if there's nanoswarms, if anything, you're never going to be able to plant. You tank so much damage. So they aggressively push her and isolate the jaw with the orbital strike. It's just clever. That's on the fly calls for him. I don't know if it was Petra, Mimi, whoever, but really nicely done. And then, sure, you get into a post plant. Amy hits a few shots. No surprises here.
My ult's ready.
Now for Falcons, the priority, it's once again going to be a bit of an eco round here. They're able to take this A orb and get that Blade Storm online, and we've seen Toki work miracles with it on Ascent, so it's going to be the hope here for Falcons is that they're able to see a second miracle possibly coming in from Toki. That said though, G2, they were aware of it. You could see Petra kind of debating whether she wanted to peek for denying that orb or not, but instead just kind of let it go. Now opting to reposition G2, looking for this A hit here, and it's only madv on site here looking to anchor it. I think that Petra did hear the fall off by Toki, and I think the expectation for G2 is that the site has historically been left a little bit more vulnerable, especially after their win on that B side. They're expecting the stack to maybe come through on that side instead, and that's going to be the case. I don't know how exactly they're going to be approaching the site. It's going to be madv with the aggressive position, not able to hit that first shot, and Vania, after getting that first kill, will kind of corral the rest of G2 in on the site. And Falcons, they rotate over, but it might just be a little bit late.
And no plant denial. It means that a hero is needed. Toki looking to try and rise up to the occasion. Still so much that needs to be done. Dash gone, and already her teammates falling left, right, and center. Nice work from Ava, though. At least being able to put another one on the body pile. A second shot connected as well. And now just trying to bait players in on that after plant, but it isn't happening. They've already spotted that there's nobody on that spike. Looking to reposition. Ava trying to take down, but it just won't work. And a molly from afar is going to leave this onto Toki with not much time. That looked like it almost went through a wall. It was such a ridiculous shot. But again, that clock has already been bought. And Mimi ain't going to miss that one. 9 and 9. A decent low buy round coming out of the side of G2. Or sorry, out of the side of Falcons. But again, at this stage, look at the finances. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, G2, they have money for days. That's like, what, 5 rounds in a row at this point in this half? Or 6? Yeah, 6 rounds in a row, and they're able to tie things up here. 9 to 9. Falcons, they gotta jump back into this to deny G2 from being able to take away this lead. We did see some nice shots coming out from Toki on the Blade Storm, at least being able to find a couple of these kills, but like you said, that's just gonna help towards G2's ult economy, and unfortunately in that 1v1, just not having the time to take care of Mimi towards the end of it. Great round for G2. 9 to 9 here, and Falcons, they've got to be feeling the pressure because remember, they're already 1 map down. This is their map pick, and G2, you know, while they had a little bit of a slow start in that first half, they have definitely come back in style here with 6 rounds in a row, and that's such a good smoke from Mimi to be able to deny the value from this operator. Not quite working though, and Petra pays for that little bit of a mistake, I would say, off the back of that G2. They know where the operator is, and they want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I feel like Petra's been a little bit unlucky so far in this game, catching strays left, right, and center, and now they walk into what is the Viper Killjoy setup. Always difficult to get past this amount of utility. Lots of ults close as well. A single kill for either could get a Viper's Pit or a lockdown in play.
See the sprays coming in with exactly that hope. G2, though, they're still going to be able to push onto this, and Lutch gets taken down here by Vania, so no more Viper's Pit available for that post plan. Sandra needs to get a kill here. That lockdown could mean the difference in this round, and she does, but unfortunately Rescue finds the perfect trade. Still, though, 2v2 situation. Toki with the op might be hindered a little bit unless she switches guns here in this retake here, and madv, one off of the Gecko ults here. Her finding a kill could be the difference in this round so far, and G2, they're just opting to play inside this Viper's Pit. Almost back to back. madv going around for the reflank, pushing through onto site, but the position from Vania is just perfect to shut her down, and Toki 1v2, yes, but with the Viper's Pit, it might be better just to save the op with the clock having ticked, and that's going to be the call.
Yeah, I was watching her go towards that for a second, and I'm like, I respect the goal, but that would have been insane to try and attempt it. And again, G2, the second that spike goes down, it does just look like the rounds are over. Their post plants have been truly fantastic, and wow, we're starting to see the step up on individuals as well. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of what Falcons want to do, or at least did want to do in a lot of their early rounds, is to try and proactively take space, like get players like Toki into position, madv with some setup. But honestly, I think G2 have just done so well to deny a lot of that space. Solid in their rotations as well, to just, okay, you've got the operator there, we don't need to face that, we'll go back into the other side of the map. And unfortunately, even when pushing into what is basically a double sentinel, they seem to get through it relatively easy.
Yeah, I think especially in these contact rounds where they push onto that A side, I do like that there's always somebody ready for that trade. Like so many of these rounds, yes, Vania gets a kill, she goes down, but rezq is immediately there to fill that gap. And G2 have been very good in terms of that spacing, in terms of being able to back each other up. And Falcons, like you mentioned, they've been looking a little bit more isolated in that aspect. Like so many of these rounds, of course, yes, Legend, Sandra, maybe they get a kill before they get shut down, but the rotation is comparatively so late that Falcons, they're not really able to capitalize off the back of that initial value. And especially like you mentioned in that previous round, Legend, Sandra were both only one off of their respective ults, so it might have been better to just try to hold on, wait for that regroup, and play that retake as a whole. Because I mean, yeah, you could try to bank on a hero play to save the round, but those kind of plays haven't really been forthcoming too much. And I feel like in that kind of situation, it might be better to just try and, if you can't get a kill initially, if you can't get it off your proactivity, at least try to go in for a bit more of the retake. And instead of trying to just play for that site, try to have a bit more flank, try to take a bit of aggressive control towards mid instead, so you can keep that pressure up on G2's side. Because so far G2, they're not even sweating.
Well, it might not be the best round for Falcons in terms of weaponry, but in terms of ults, they're in a pretty good position. Might try and just cheese their way through this one, or at least have them ready for the next round. An aggressive start, already taking a lot of A control. Obviously, Amy's been there almost every single time to deny. Turret there to support, and you can see on the other side of the map, G2 already clearing so much map control. The drone doing its job. I'm on madv, trying to almost fake the fallback. The goal here to try and set up Toki, who obviously has the big weapon in hand, but at least for now, Amy is not over playing this one, and well, it doesn't get much freer than that. I genuinely think that Toki thought that was being watched, because otherwise that's a very peculiar angle to take.
Yeah, and with that operator going down, G2 knowing that this is a low buy, most likely for the side of Falcons, it's going to be a pivot over towards the site instead. G2, of course, they do have that Hunter Sphere available if they want to get a quick, another quick kill or just for that post plant. But this time around, Falcons, they're playing much more aggressively for site control. You see a lot of utility being tossed across by both of these sides here. And Eva is going to have to be the hero since she does kind of have the only weapon. Is he unfortunately not going to be able to find much, and rezq towards backside is just causing a slaughter right now. G2, they convert yet another round here. That's 7 or 8 in a row that they found so far. Their attacking side has been flawless.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be any stop either. I think the one good thing is we didn't really see any of the ultimates utilized in that round. So now Falcons have a cheese round. And honestly, if they don't win this one, after 8 rounds in a row, we could just wrap it up in a nice little bow for G2 with their flawless attack side. It's actually giving me flashbacks to their old school VCT EMEA roster, who would always just win ludicrous attack side halves and not have the best of defenses. It doesn't look like G2 are stopping anytime soon, though. And the problem is their ults have now built up as well. Toki, oh, finally. I think she's lost that fight every single time, but has finally got it and taken down Amy.
Yeah, but again, with that early pick going in favor of Falcons, their G2, they take aggressive V control, and already rezq has shut down Ludge, so no more Viper Spit gonna be available for that retake setup. rezq goes for the jump peek towards CT, immediately spots 3 players from Falcons and decides, all right, you know what, you can keep the CT, guys. I'm just gonna try to hold onto site. G2 playing a little bit more aggressively as well to deny the space for that lockdown to really materialize. Still though, trades going trade for trade here, and now just 2 players left. But look at who they are, Tom. It's the Orbital Strike and the Hunter Sphere available here for that post plan for G2 side. And yeah, while you're going to be seeing a Hunter Sphere from Eva to try and clean out the yellow angle here, it's still going to be Mimi not only dodging it, but also pulling out the iPad and hitting that Orbital Strike perfectly. A Molly to come down as well. Insult to injury, and Petra is just playing so far back, knowing that the clock has ticked to a decent extent. Here's the tap, and that's going to be the second ultimate used right now. It's not even going to be necessary, because Mimi just finds the 2 final players left standing to get the round here for G2. They play that to perfection, and that's going to get the match and series point.
That's the duo you really just don't want to live at the end of the game. The lineup Larrys, the people who put the work in, no doubt about it, and there was never really any doubt that that was going to be another round going in favor of G2 Gozen. Petra might not be with them, but she has definitely caused them issues. And while 12-9, I don't really know what the blip on the radar could be. Maybe a huge individual play coming out of Toki. Maybe the greatest judge combination coming out that we've ever seen alongside that Viper's Pit. Maybe just Ava pushing. Well,
Oh,
That's
no.
kind of how I expected that one to go.
Yeah, I mean, you do see these attempts at Falcons for that early control. It's just that they're always so alone. Like, please look at G2. Most of these rounds, they go for those double peaks, they go for those swings, and they can trade each other out. But it's just these solo plays. And I think it's been that last round, the only time where that first pick really went in favor of Falcons when they tried to get aggressive. Now, once again, G2, they fake towards A, but go towards B. And they have so much control available in their favor. Look at where rezq is already towards spawn. Here's Toki reloading, knows that there's one player towards CT. And madv, while she's able to take down Mimi, it's still gonna be rescue for the refrag here. Now the lockdown gonna be popped, trying to buy a little bit of space on this side, but Vania on the opposite side does have a Viper's Pit ready to go.
No.
Takes care of Ludges though, and that will be the kill to once again call for a possible rotation here. Look at how much space Vania has.
Yeah, but clearing out that Viper's Pit, it's just brutal. It was the one sort of defense they had, and she is low. Left. That's the only thing, but it has to be a hard clear from Sandra. They need this fight.
No.
She doesn't check. I feel like at this stage, it's just a little bit too predictable. Toki now left to try and keep her team in it. 0 rounds on the defense. She needs to make it 1.
Want to stay alive in this series as well. Since that map 1 did go in favor of G2 and Vania, you know, we've been talking a lot about her today. It's kind of fitting that she will end this game.